A new command I give to you, love one another. As I have loved you, so you must love one another. From the Gospel of John 13, verse 34. Let us pray. Be with us today, Spirit, as we come together in this sacred space to share our love with each other. We ask for our guides, angels, and ancestors to gather close to us so that we may feel and know their presence, love, and support. We ask for the higher master teachers to grant us wisdom and insight, and we call you in using the prayer that the Master Jesus taught us to pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I'm Reverend Rose. For those of you who have not met me yet, you're in for a treat. This is my sense of humor. I am very glad that you're here today. It's going to be a beautiful day, and it's always nice to start the week with a beautiful gathering of our own spirits together with our spirit people in the spirit world. So we'll get to those guys shortly. But before we do, we're going to do a little talking and a little singing and a little meditating before we begin all of that. So our next piece of music we're going to play now so that I can get ready and deliver a nice message for you today. So anyway, well, I did not write about Cinco de Mayo today, because I don't really know much about it, and I probably should learn more about it. But when I was looking for my topic for today and asking Spirit what we needed to talk about, I was reminded of the 10 Commandments in the Bible for some reason. And I don't know about you, and most of you are probably familiar with the 10 Commandments that are in the Old Testament. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not commit adultery, honor your father and your mother, those kinds of things. And those are great commandments. I'm not disputing that. But I remember learning the 10 Commandments when I was in grade school, Catholic grade school, and thinking to myself as I was memorizing them, because we had to stand up and recite them, thinking, there are a lot of things in this list that I shouldn't do, but what am I supposed to do? And there's really not a lot of guidance in the 10 Commandments about what we're supposed to do as human beings, what we're hoping to do as human beings, or what the higher power, God, infinite intelligence, would like us to be doing. And so I always thought that was kind of odd. And I was reminded of that as I was thinking about the 10 Commandments. And one of my friends online on social media had posted something from an organization called the American Humanist Center for Education. And it was a list of their 10 Commandments from their organization. And I started reading them and thought, this is what the 10 Commandments really should be. They're guidelines for living instead of telling things that you should not do. So I wanted to share some of them with you today because I thought they were very relevant for where we are today in society. But also, as spiritualist people, spiritualism embraces a lot of different backgrounds and a lot of different religious and spiritual paths. And the humanist path, which is not a religious path, it's more of a philosophy, a way of life, because most humanists would probably argue that they don't really believe in God, but they believe in humanity, and in humanity being here to support and develop each other. So, you know, spiritualism is a great place to introduce some of these concepts, I think, because even though a lot of religions touch on them, they don't really talk a lot about incorporating them every day. And so I think Jesus would be interested in these, because that's why I used the quote at the beginning of the ceremony today, the quote about love one another, because I think these help us see how we can love one another, not just say, oh yeah, I love Lori. Well, how can I love Lori better? What can I do in my life to love Lori and to love everybody that's here and to love our community? So I'm going to share some of these 10 commitments. Well, they're not even commandments, they're commitments. But they're 10 commitments for the humanist way of living, their humanist values. So the very first one is actually empathy. And so empathy is the idea that we can imagine ourselves in someone else's shoes, in someone else's situation. And I know that all of us probably know the definition of empathy, but it really is the first step to ethical behavior, because it allows us to respond compassionately to people that are suffering, to other people that we don't know, to the suffering that's going on in the world. And it helps us to exercise good judgment when our actions affect other people. So being empathetic and concentrating on empathy helps promote tolerance. It helps promote consideration, the idea that I do need to consider other people's feelings and other people's places in life, other people's situations, and that leads to compassion, which of course in Buddhism, compassion is everything. Compassion is the biggest tenet in Buddhism is about compassion. So empathy is where we start with these values. The next one is altruism. And altruism is something that some people may or may not be familiar with. Altruism is the idea that the collective welfare depends on individual welfare. And so we always need to be seeking to alleviate the suffering of other people through compassionate action. That's what altruism is, because that contributes to the betterment of the world. In altruism, we're saying to ourselves, I'll help others in need without hoping for a reward. So altruism is about that idea of reaching out, not because we want something from someone, but because we want to help and not expecting something in return. The next one on the list is critical thinking. And I actually love that critical thinking is on this list, because if you study spiritualism, critical thinking is one of the tenets of spiritualism, and it's hidden a little bit because spiritualism is a science, a philosophy, and a religion. That's what we say. A philosophy is a way of living life. A religion is a way of, worshiping or connecting with a higher power. The science part of spiritualism is the testing of spirit and the spirit messages and the spirit healings and all of those things that we believe in. And we don't do as much testing as we used to when spiritualism was at its forefront. And I'm not going to say that the best testing was done back then in the 1800s, but testing and critically thinking about things has always been a part of the philosophy, but I don't think people talk about it very much. And I think critical thinking is really important these days, especially because we are bombarded constantly with information. We have information on our phones. We have information on the TV when we walk into the dentist's office. We have information that people are telling us all day long. It's constant. And we have to decide, and we have to challenge ourselves to figure out what is accurate in that information and what isn't accurate. Critical thinking requires continued attention, practice, and reflection on those kinds of things. And you have to build your mind skills to do that. You have to learn to challenge the biases that we have within ourselves, because we all have them, and we have to learn to challenge the bias that other people have. so that we can all think critically about what the right thing is to do, what the best steps are to take forward. And that makes, when we use critical thinking, it makes the world more fair. It makes it, helps us to have a more open-minded perspective about things. And it fosters a multicultural worldview, which, whether you want it to be going that way or not, that's the way the world is moving. And that's one of the things that is so awesome about the information age and the internet, because we are all connected. Now, do we need to be connected 24/7? Probably not. We need to figure out how to be connected in better ways. And that's what critical thinking can help us figure out. The next one on their list is environmentalism. We all know, and Earth Day was that a couple weeks ago? Yeah. Earth Day was a week or so ago. We all know that Earth is our home. We all know that each of us needs to acknowledge that Earth is our home and that we need to take care of our home. Each of us needs to acknowledge the collective and the individual mistakes that we've made, because we've made a lot of mistakes. As a collective, we've made a lot of mistakes. And we need to repair past damages and purposefully work towards cultivating things, ecosystems, habitats, all of those things for now and for the future. Part of the problem with environmentalism is that it means you have to be thinking about the future, not just about the moment that you're in. And yes, we're all sort of trying to embrace that mindfulness of be in the moment, but there's also the balance of what am I moving forward towards? And I need to be preparing the world for that. And so environmentalism being on this list is another value that we need to consider and try to be a part of in whatever small way we can. The next one on the list is ethical development. So the key to ethical development is understanding that no one is perfect and that nobody has all the answers. Ethical development requires, again, sort of constant reflection and evaluation of our own personal choices and the impact that they have on the people that are around us. Not just our family, not just like our spouse and our kids, but on our neighborhood, on our community that we live in, our little city or our little village that we live in, on our state, on our nation, and out from there with that ripple effect that we have when we talk about any kind of cause and effect. And that's a natural law of the universe. Something that we do is going to affect other things, not just you. So ethical development is that constant reflection on am I making the right choices for myself, but also for what's happening around me and for all the other people that are involved. So it's about allowing yourself to continually rebuild your moral framework. So it really is a devotion to the idea that I don't know everything and I need to learn more about something and I need to make choices, better choices, once I have more information. The next one on here is global awareness. We all recognize that our world is culturally, socially, and ethically, and all kinds of other ways diverse. It is. And sometimes I think we forget that because we live in a little more isolated or little pocket community of people, that we don't see that diverseness. If you travel at all, especially to other countries, you'll see it in the United States too. Like if you travel to the South, the culture is a little different in the South than it is in the Midwest. And it's a little different on the East Coast and the West Coast than it is in the Midwest. But if you travel internationally, especially to big cities like London and Paris and Amsterdam, which I've had the really great pleasure of being able to travel to, it is so diverse and it is so different than living in the United States. And that's the beauty of it. And so having had some of those experiences, it really helps you understand that we really are interdependent on each other. And that's where our world is moving towards. We're moving into more of that with the advent of things like the internet and global perspectives on things. Events anywhere that take place anywhere are going to affect and have consequences on the things that are around us, that are closely around us. So things that are happening across the world are going to affect us here in the United States. They're going to affect, our little community, our little neighborhood that we live in. So global awareness broadens our knowledge of perspectives outside of our own experience. It also acknowledges how we are and how we've been affected by interconnected social, political, economic systems, and how to move toward fostering better ones, better health for everybody, and dignity. Dignity. Humility is the next thing they have on the list. So humility, we often think about humility and think about modesty. The idea of I'm modest about my accomplishments, my talents, and my impression of myself. That's modesty and humility. Humility also includes a robust self-awareness of our own strengths and our weaknesses, what our faults are and what our merits are. And by overcoming pride and ego, we can embrace gratitude and appreciate those traits in ourselves and in others, whether they're ones we possess or not. So we're not better or worse than anybody. We're all on an even playing field. And we can recognize our value in relation to others. That's what humility means. That's what they talk about humility being. Peace and social justice is the eighth thing that they have on their list. Of course, social justice is an affirmation of human rights and autonomy. Autonomy for all. Autonomy. So to attain peace by consistently responding to injustice by thoughtful conflict resolution. Thoughtful conflict resolution. How do we fix this? Something that restores fairness, and that's what they call restorative justice. The idea that we're thoughtfully thinking about what do we need to resolve this, and listening to the people who are talking about injustice, even if we don't understand it. Because you know what? You're not going to understand it until you listen to the people who are talking about it. And that helps us find better ways forward for everybody. Number 9 is responsibility, and as spiritualists, responsibility is a big part of our tenets. We believe that we're personally responsible for everything in our lives. That's why we don't believe in Jesus as a personal savior, because we believe that Jesus can't take away your sins for you. You have to work on yourself. You have to work for the betterment of yourself. So responsibility is about taking conscious ownership of our intentions and our actions and being accountable for any resulting consequences. And I think we do that. I think, at least for me, that's one of the big attractive things about spiritualism to me, was the idea that, yeah, I'm responsible for it all. Now, it's not always easy when you do something not so great and you want to blame somebody else for it. But then you have to go, nope, I'm responsible for myself. They didn't cause that. I did. I walked right into that, or whatever the situation might be. And sometimes it's hard to see your own personal responsibility in things. And I'm not saying that it's a walk in the park. but taking that personal responsibility is a huge thing. So constant attention to that, to the idea of I'm responsible, helps us to understand what's right and helps us to bear the blame for things and the praise for different actions. So it's not just about blaming somebody, it's about also saying, hey, you were responsible for that and you did the right thing. Yay. Let's keep doing the right thing. And the last one that they have on their list is service and participation. So putting values into actions in ways that positively impact the community and society as a whole, that's what service is. And then engaging in service helps the recipients, the people that are, I'm sorry, not recipients, recipients, thank you, recipients, as well as helping the server. So when you're serving or when you're doing something for other people, when you're doing something for your community, yeah, you're helping other people, but you're also helping yourself because you're learning new skills. You're having new experiences. And hopefully you're being more satisfied with those experiences and feeling good about what you're doing, which also helps promote your own personal growth, which helps support all of these other things that we've been talking about. So service and participation is something that I think is an important part of all of this. The idea that, you know, we don't just walk through life without touching anybody else. You know, our lives spill over into other people's lives in so many different ways. And if we can become more aware of that, then that's what participation really is the idea I'm participating in life, and I'm participating in the idea that I'm going to make somebody's day better in whatever way I can. I'm going to make my environment around me better in whatever way I can. So it is about serving in a, if you want to call it a physical way, by doing acts of service, volunteering for things, that sort of thing. But it's also in the everyday participation that we have in our lives and how we handle that. So I thought that these were some really good things to think about. And actually these 10 commitments, living the humanist values, they actually have little statements that go with each one of them that I printed out for myself to put on my refrigerator or somewhere in my house. It won't go on the refrigerator because my husband won't let me put things on the refrigerator. I would love to have a big magnet collection, but that's not going to happen in my house. But I actually thought I will post this on our Facebook group so you can see the little affirmative statements that go with each one. Because they're really simple things like, I will practice good judgment by asking questions and thinking for myself. That's critical thinking. I will always focus on becoming a better person. That's ethical development. I will help people solve problems and handle disagreements in ways that are fair to everyone. That's peace and social justice. So the more simplistic language helps us to get our head around what we're trying to accomplish. And you know, we're big in affirmations in, you know, any kind of metaphysical community. By affirming what you're doing, you're reminding yourself that that's the energy that you're putting out. That's the energy that you want to have back in your own life. Because again, the universe supports cause and effect. What we give out, we get back. So it's not, we're, again, going back to the one that talks about, I'm not doing this because I'm getting something back. But you are getting something back. It's not the reason you're doing it, but it's a reciprocal exchange of energy and love. People ask me all the time when I was teaching, why do our spirit guides want to work with us? I don't know. I think for me, I think my spirit guides probably, you know, are like this most of the time. And your spirit guides do get something out of working with us. They get personal growth. So they evolve as we evolve. And I know that some people, and again, it's not, they don't do it because that's what they want. They're not doing it because they go, oh, well, if I do this, this, and this for Rose, then I get to be, you know, Rose's master guide. Like Mara has moved up in my chain of command from joy guide to master guide. But it's not because of all the things she did for me. It's because we've worked together and there's a reciprocal give and take of energy. And that's what we're all looking for when we're giving to other people. And we're looking for that growth and that development spiritually. So just keep that in mind. And again, if you keep that ego in check, the ego that wants to say, yay, look at me, I'm so great. There's nothing wrong with having an ego. Ego helps us out in a lot of ways. But being able to check that and to say, yeah, but there needs to be a balance. There needs to be a balance. We all know these things. I'm just reminding you. So we are going to do a little meditation experience now. So if you would like to get comfortable in your chair.
Would you like music?
Yes, please, Rick,
Okay.
if there's something available.
Let me find
Now that we shut the lights out so you can't see. And while Rick is doing that, just take a minute, let yourself wiggle around a little in your chair and get settled. And I would invite you to close your eyes and allow your focus to go to your breath. Breath in and breath out. Breath in, breath out. Breath in and breath out. And as you allow yourself to move into your regular pattern of breath in and breath out, allow yourself to relax, to sink a little deeper into the chair. Allow yourself with those cycles of breath to let go of the things that have come before this moment, to let go of any pain, any worry, any doubt, any fear, and just be here now in this place. And just allow yourself to have this moment of silence, this moment of peace, this moment of tranquility. There's nowhere else that you need to be. There's nothing else that you need to be doing. And as you sit in this peaceful energy, allow that peaceful energy to surround you and to seep into your aura, into your energy field. Permeating all the layers of your auric field. And then filling you up like a pitcher of water. Filling you up with this peace, this tranquility. And allow yourself to feel what that feels like, to have this peace within, this peace all around. And if other thoughts drift into your mind, just let them go past and let them float away like a balloon on the wind. Going back to this peace. Focus your attention into the center of your chest, into your heart chakra, the energy center. It's right there, the center of love. And allow this peaceful energy to permeate that heart chakra, to bring it into balance. And become aware of love. Become aware of love for others. Love for family and friends. Love for the world and all that are in it. And most importantly, love for the self. Love for who you are. For you were divinely created to be who you are. Love and peace begin within ourselves. And when we are in a place of love and peace within ourselves, we can project that love and peace out into the world. So let your heart chakra shine like a beacon. See it in your mind's eye. And as it shines, know that you are projecting that love and that peace out from yourself. And that you are filled with that love and peace. And there is an infinite supply. So in everything that you do today, every encounter that you have, in every situation, you will shine that love and peace and bring that to the world. So breathe in and breathe out. And allow allow yourself to begin to come back to this time and this place, filled with that peace and love within your body, within your auric field, within your mind, within your heart. Let yourself come back to your physical self. Let yourself feel the chair underneath you. Wiggle your fingers and your toes as you come fully back to this time and this place. And when you feel ready, you can open your eyes, wide awake and relaxed. Wide awake.